What is going on, Sir Don Juan?
How are you? Yo. What is going on, Rich? We're here all. This is volume 2 of Drunk on the Court. We're here to talk all things Sixers tonight. So welcome in everybody. We're excited to be back and better than ever.
How are we, friends? How are we? We're a little sad because the Sixers just aren't living up to expectations. Whatever. Last night they got blown out by the Grizzlies and they barely played anybody. Crap happens, right? Crap happens.
It happens. Listen,
Chris, what's up, buddy?
I don't. The team that we're seeing now, I think, is not even going to be close to the team that we see come playoff time.
Oh, of course not.
I'm and real quick shout out to Dom and Mike. Dom and Mike were doing trivia last night, and I had to come in and kind of swoop in and save the day from Mike not being able to recognize anybody's college. So huge shout out to them. They sent me the link, had me hop on for a hot minute. But in talking with them and kind of sussing out the Sixers stuff, man, it's hard to watch this team because you can tell where their needs are.
Yeah. Wing defender, point guard.
I mean, the point guard position stands out like a
Tobias Harris being allergic to 30.
Listen, T Will with the full court press. The content that they're putting out is, if you're not listening to that content, holy crap, you are missing out on some actual serious nuggets of content that you're not getting anywhere else. You're not getting it on the radio. You're not getting it on any other podcast. There's nobody out there that's doing a better job at covering this team. And just, and hearing the stuff that he's talking about, he coined the phrase Mr. Allergic to 30. So, he's only got less than 40, 30-point games in his career. In a time where you need him to step up and be a solid secondary scorer, man, is he just taking kind of the easy road out and just he's giving you the 20 and 6, 21 and 9, just not giving you the scoring that you need with a guy like Embiid on the court.
He's such a likable guy.
And that's the hard part, Rich.
And it's so hard to hate him, but I think that's why he's starting to get more, because he wasn't really getting enough of the blame and the flack. Because he's so lovable and he's a likable guy. He's a guy that you can relate to, a guy who seems super down to earth, and that overshadows his inability to score more than 30 points. And it's due to his offensive limitations.
He's kind of like the Jalen Hurts of he's that equivalent, right? He does all these extra intangibles well, but the most important thing that you need him to make sure that the team is successful, man, he just doesn't do. It's just hard. It's hard because you're right, Rich. He is an insanely likable guy.
So this is a good conversation piece, Chris. Sixers are playing better without Ben Simmons. No, they are not. And I am going to say that because you look at the tight games that they lost, and shout out to Big T Will for also talking about this. He adds that ability to end scoring runs. He adds that ability to create turnovers with his length. He is that guy that can get you a few stops late in the fourth quarter. So are they playing better without Ben Simmons? No. Are they probably gelling a little better in the locker room? Yeah. But you can't replace – they haven't been able to replace the productivity of what 2-5 gives them. And that is the hard part, because right now you see the Sixers team needing a legit point guard, needing another scorer. Hey, he only scored 10 points, but he created a lot of opportunities for other guys. spacing, it is so hard for me to look at this team and say, hey, I don't miss Ben Simmons because I am ready to move on. I've been ready to say goodbye. It's just hard for me to say that the Sixers are a better team without him because he's not. There's no one stepping up defensively besides Matisse Thybulle on Steph Curry on Saturday. There's no one stepping up and making that impact on defense. Danny Green is who Danny Green is. That's annoying. But he's the older veteran guy who sometimes he just needs to give me 12 and I'm happy, like me and Don talked about. He gives me 12, I'm happy. But he's not even giving you that. Max is great promise, but still not a true point guard. And then outside of that, you have Shake, who's still terrible, and Matisse, who lockdown defender, yes, hard time scoring.
Yeah, Rich, I think the thing that you're speaking to is exactly on point, right? They miss him in more ways than people want to acknowledge, right? You can say that on the defensive end in most games, you can probably deduct, 10 to 12 points off the team's total based on the way that he's going to defend, especially in those closeout moments, right? Yes. In those last 4 minutes of the game, when you need stops and you need the run stopper, right? He is your run stopper, right? He's the guy that's going to lock down and stop a dribble drive or step in between a pass. And I think the one thing on the offensive end that they're starting to realize is that what he brings in terms of shot creation, right? That's why I feel like you're seeing a different Tobias Harris. Tobias Harris relied on him to create that space to be able to make those 17, 18-foot jumpers, to be able to get the space. And he's not getting that now, right? He's getting the double team. When he goes and drives the lane, he's running into a lot of traffic. Yeah. People don't want to acknowledge, and for all the stuff that Ben Simmons is creating for the team in terms of all the off the court nonsense, I think people are not willing to acknowledge what exactly he brings, and he does. He, as much as we don't want to acknowledge, he is a shot creator and the fast break starter. People, you go back and watch the tape from the last couple of years, and you look at the stuff that he creates on the offensive end and the way that he shuts people down on the defensive end. You do miss him. You cannot sit here and say that they're probably a 5-6 win improvement on what their record is right now.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, Don. It's just hard for me to be like, Chris, don't take this anyway, just because this is how I am. So many people are out there, and they're like, oh, no, we can do it without Ben. Fuck, dude, are you fucking kidding me? You know how much this team, personality and him being a baby aside,
right?
He brings you in a professional level, game in and game out, is missing from this team. This team was not built to be without him. If it was, obviously we'd see more impactful players coming off the bench.
Right.
Let's be real with ourselves. The team misses Ben. They miss what he contributes. But you can't bring him back because he just doesn't want to, and the disconnect is there. I'm fine with that. But you have to go out there and do something, Daryl, sooner than later, in what I believe. Or you keep waiting until, the Dames get more frustrated and Bradley Beal just claws his way out, because even shout out to T-Will, what he was saying. He's like, Bradley Beal is so wishy-washy, and he is. I'll never leave Washington. Washington's where I want to stay. But they're never going to win anything. They're never going to win anything there. Same thing with Dame out in Portland. They're never going to win anything. And they spend zero money, and they bring him no help. And him and McCollum have been not that great this year.
And that's the one thing that alarms me about both of those guys. I don't have any doubt that they will go on the court and give it their all, right? And they are upper echelon, top, they're talking about top 25 talent, right? They both fit into that category. At the same time, though, I'd be remiss if I didn't acknowledge the fact that like they are also content staying and playing on teams that are perennial 6, 7, 8, 9 in their respective conferences. And those guys are almost loyal to a fault where they're content staying in those spots.
I don't call it, but here's the thing, Don. I don't call it loyalty. I call it being afraid to fail. Because in those teams, at Washington and Portland, you're not expected to do anything. So what always happens when Dame and them make a run late in the season? Oh my God, Portland's a team that oh man, they're hot, they're ready to go in the playoffs, and then they go in the playoffs and they get smoked and they get laughed at. It's a joke. Every year we see this from Washington, from the Washingtons, the Bulls, the freaking Portland. Like all these teams, oh my God, look at these. They're going to run through the playoffs. And then they get shut up in the first game, and then they don't show back up. It has nothing to, like, I love Dame as a player. But if you're content with playing on a team with no pressure, that's fine. Then stay in the small markets. Stay being a perennial 7, 8, 9, 10 seed, sometimes not making the playoffs. Keep telling the media that, oh man, I'm sick of this. I don't need the drama. Let's leave this out. You can play that. You can play that. Oh, I don't care. I'm loyal. I'm staying in Portland. What that says to me is you're afraid if you go to a team and you're the 1 or the 2 seed or even the 3 seed, that if something happens, you can't take the blame. That's what I see. The pressure.
The pressure that comes with one of those positions.
It's easy to play well on a team where nobody cares. Nobody really cares about you in the country.
And that's where, like, when you look at these trade scenarios that pop up, the thing that always alarms me is getting the guys that put up a ton of points on shitty teams. Yeah. Right? There's always an alarm that goes off for me to say, like, you got to look past the numbers, right? You got to look at the guy, and like a guy like De'Aaron Fox, right? You can tell that even though the numbers that he puts up are one thing. What's up, Adam? You can tell the type of player and the type of thing that he brings on the court. I'm kind of in the same boat, Rich. Like, I don't know what to think about those guys. I'm torn between, like, I know, like, here's the other. Okay, so brain fart, totally sidetracked. What did you think about when it came out, the stuff, the mouthpiece, the Shams Charania stories about, like, Dame wanting to play with Ben? Like, that whole, like, to me, I look at those two scenarios and I say I can either play with Ben or I can play with Joe.
I'm playing with Joe.
Right. Because that to me also says something, right?
Because what? So Ben's going to facilitate and pass me the ball, so I don't have to be the number 1 ball handler. Is that the reason why? Because that's not going to translate. So Ben and Dame on the same team, if they're the 1 and the 2, right, they are worse off than Dame and CJ. They're worse off because at least CJ can score. If Ben wants to score, maybe he can. Do I think it was all BS? Of course it is, because half the shit that's reported is stupid. Like, let's be real, Don. Half these stories aren't stories. It's just this is Clutch saying something, hopefully trying to get a move going, and then Dame's like, yeah, I never said that. And then Rich Paul's sitting there with Adele like,
I will tell you one thing. I love the honesty from the players kind of out in those stories. I think is a great place to say, hey, listen, like, at least there's some honesty in there.
Yeah. It's hard with all the speculation, Don, because
it is because you don't know who's got whose hand in whose pocket, right? We know that
it's also stupid. If Dame really wants to play with Ben, okay.
Right.
Well, that's going to mean we're getting CJ and a bunch of bums and picks that I don't think Portland has back. No, I'm cool. Like, I'm fine with not doing that. I love SGA from
and listen, there They're
Oklahoma City.
from Oklahoma, right? Like SGA is a name.
I would take.
In that same breath, like a John Morant and Anthony Edwards, like those young point guard dogs that like. But all three of those guys remind me a lot of Iverson.
Yeah,
they remind me a lot of. John Morant is like like him and Anthony Edwards, like a pleasure to watch. But that you're watching guys that are playing on just shitty teams. And
who's better, Ja or Zion?
Oh my God, Ja is a million times better. Right, like when Zion comes back and he's essentially like a bowling ball with legs. Like you don't know what you're going to get, he has been to me the guy who's just been overhyped.
Oh yeah,
for so long.
His whole college and everything. I'm like, dude, this guy's not gonna shoot in the NBA. I mean,
he was a product of that, like that mixtape, right? Highlight, like he had a bunch of those highlight films that blew up on Twitter, and just kind of not to say that he wasn't in that upper echelon of player, but it just elevated it even more.
And he went to Duke.
And then he went and then he parlays that into Duke, and then parlays that into.
And let's be real, you're the biggest kid on the court in college. It's the same thing in football. You might be the biggest kid on the field in college football. Wait till you get to the pros, where they're bigger, stronger, faster, and played many more years of basketball than you.
Right, and if he put his mind to it, like best case scenario, like he could be in that Charles Barkley mold of player, right?
Could be,
right? If he put in the work.
I had Zion pegged as a bust from the jump. I really did. I think I even put it on Twitter saying that Zion was going to be a bust.
So Rich, we all can agree that Ben probably gets moved at some point, right? He doesn't put on a uniform again. Is there anybody else on this roster, packages aside? Do they move anybody else? Do they move another big piece?
I mean, I'm moving Tobias if I can get a buyer. I think you have to at this point, and you either pay half his salary. I'll move Thibault. I have no problem moving Maxey. I really don't. I mean, at this point, you keep Joe and you move everything to fit around him. As much as I love Maxey, I'm content with trading. It doesn't bother me. I'm not going to wake up tomorrow and be like, damn, like Maxey was it. It's like, no, Maxey's being forced into minutes. He takes a lot of shots. He scores. He does a lot of things right. He does a lot of things wrong. He's so young.
Right. I mean, you have to remember that he's young, right? But he's not. I mean, Rich, we all when you remember when that Tobias move happened,
yes,
and how people were so married to Landry Shamet,
yeah,
right.
I like
right. I liked him too, but I really honestly think in that trade they kind of maximized him at his highest value.
Yeah,
right. He was a young guy who could shoot, come off the bench, score.
He's still playing well, right?
He's still playing, right? But he's at last I checked, I think he was on the Nets.
That's what I thought.
But he's a mild contributor, right? He hasn't really manifested himself into anything. Like he didn't turn out to be the next young big scorer, right?
I'm going to just tell you right now what I'm still fucked up over. I'm still fucked up about Mikal Bridges and the whole Zaire thing, like, because we'll never see Zaire ever. Like that's what irks me. Like that's the number one thing that kills me, because that dude's putting up like 26 a night. Like, well, now like 18, but still, he has nights where he can put up 30, and that's the thing. He's an incredible young man, and he's a great athlete. And we got Zaire, who did nothing ever in the history of ever.
who ended up having fictitious thoracic outlet syndrome.
Yeah. Wait,
like, yeah, he had the
no, that was false.
No, that was false. He had
the peanut allergy.
He had the peanut allergy and almost died.
Yeah, he had the peanut allergy and almost died.
But now, like I feel like we do what we do well in this city, right? We get married to those underrated bench guys that are constantly in the role of filling.
It's because it's the stupid fucking underdog mentality. It's the dumbest thing. We want to root for the long shot because we're Philly and we're blue collar, and this is what, like, oh my, Jesus Christ! I will give you.
Shut up.
I will slap you all. I will give you Matisse. I will give you Maxey. I will give you everyone for somebody decent.
Right.
I don't care. B-Ball Paul. I love him. Great story. He's not going to be the next big thing. But, oh my God, he was the G League Player of the Year, and I love B-Ball Paul. But I will fucking drive him to the airport too. Like, I don't do that. Like, I'm not the type of fan who sits here and goes, hey, man, Travis Fulgham for the Eagles. I'm going to ride or die because now that everybody's out, it's Fulgham season, baby. He should have had a spot. Like, no. And I'm also not going to do the same thing with Isaiah Joe and B-Ball Paul and Matisse Thybulle. Like, if they are included in a package, goodbye. I don't care how awesome you are. Bring me a championship. That's what I want as a fan. I don't develop relationships and, oh, my God, I love this. Oh, he's so dreamy. Look at that. Oh, my God, his posts are great. Awesome. Yeah. I like Didi. He posts all that crazy shit. But you know what pisses me off about Didi? He can post all those crazy tweets, but he can't fucking hit the ball, Don. So guess what? I don't love you. Perform.
All that to be discussed on a future Drunk on the Fightins episode.
Exactly. We'll talk
shameless
about
plug.
Shameless.
But I mean, I get it. We fall into that, root for the underdog and
it's stupid, Don. It's stupid. It's honestly stupid. Tell me that is not a terrible mentality.
No, it is. I won't sit here and deny it.
It honestly is the worst thing about this fan base of Philadelphia.
If you can flip and any combination of Simmons, Maxey, Thybulle, and Tobias Harris, and bring back a combination of a Dame, a Beal, a Buddy Hield, a Halliburton. If you flip a first-round pick for Cam Reddish, like you could turn this roster over fairly quickly, get younger, get more athletic, which is exactly what you need.
I'll take Cam Reddish.
Right? Atlanta seems to have soured on Cam Reddish. Bring that dude home.
Yeah.
Right. Like bring him back. He would fit amazingly in terms of giving you that scorer that he could be in your starting five. He could come off the bench. He could be a guy that fills it up. He could be athletic. He could be that athletic wing. I just I feel like, and this might be me just kind of looking at the bigger picture. I feel like there's going to be, when this all goes down, I feel like there's a move that's going to be made that no one is seeing.
Yeah.
And I think there's going to be more than, I think there's going to be more than one move.
I think that we're going to get a good return. I think it's going to be Ben and a bunch of pieces. Probably some of the guys that everybody loves who've been mediocre at best. Sorry, Philadelphia fans, but I'm here for a championship.
Sixers fans are gonna, the people who are drinking the Kool-Aid are gonna light Twitter on fire when one of those guys gets traded.
Maxey gets traded.
Yep.
But who's the true point guard?
They don't have one.
Exactly.
That's the you are seeing what you're seeing on the court right now, and to bring it back full circle, right, is that what you're seeing on the court right now, when you watch them on the offensive end, they literally all just kind of spread out and they kind of just dribble the ball past each other, right? It appears as though there is no plan or no structure in place to be able – like there are a couple of possessions at the end of quarters where Doc calls timeout, they call play, and it looks like that time during, basketball practice where you just roll the ball out and everybody goes and runs around and chases the ball.
Yeah.
Like there seems to be no plan at all. And that's the part that's so frustrating because I feel like we're in the same position with the Sixers that we are with the Phillies, right? You've got your best guy on your roster in his prime, and you got a bunch of mediocre stuff around him.
Yeah. I mean, the coaching needs to be better. Doc needs to admit when he's wrong because it's kind of getting annoying at this point. You know what your players are. Just say it, dude. Like,
right.
Everybody else sees it. Everybody else sees the inconsistencies. Everybody else sees the terrible substitutions. Everybody sees that you can't stop a team's run. We all know you miss Ben. Adam just put up, I would take anything for Simmons. That's a terrible – Adam, don't do that. No. Don't sell yourself short, buddy. We need players who can contribute. If we take anything and their bench assets, how does that make your team better? And Adam, the Sixers are focusing on playing basketball. They're just not playing well.
And here's the thing, Adam,
it comes down to personnel.
Yeah.
It comes down to a lot of things. It's not just Ben being a distraction. That does not stop people from doing their job. If I'm with a coworker and they don't show up to work and they're a distraction for everybody else, for me, my head's down, I'm doing work. And guess what? I'm getting paid and going home. And then I'll worry about that when I come in on Monday.
Right.
That's how you have to look at it. The Sixers aren't playing good basketball right now. They're not that good of a team. Why? Because a max guy who contributes a shit ton on the defensive end is not playing.
Right. And here's the thing, Adam, if you sell him and just get anything for him, I mean, you essentially wasted an entire decade of the process. Like you have to. If Simmons, and we know Simmons is not going to be here, if we know that that's factually true right now, you have to get a player of equal or greater value. You cannot say, and I heard T. Will say this a bunch of times, you don't want to be on the end of the trade where you get the stuff, right? You want to be able to, just like we've said it in fantasy football, right? You want to, if you're making a trade, you want to get the best guy in the trade.
Yes.
You don't want the package.
You don't want the 3-for-1. You want the one.
Right. You want to be on the end of that trade where you're getting a Dame and a Beal and, name your laundry list of guys, right? But I don't like as good as DeMontis Sabonis and Karis LeVert are.
No, that's not
that. Those two guys are not top 25 guys. Those guys are not winning a championship.
They're not moving the needle for you. They'll give you – all right, so realistically –
it's essentially the same thing.
Those guys will give you four more wins. That's because they're going to be on the team and Ben's not played. That doesn't even out. Like it's you need to get max value. And if it's trading Maxey and Thibault with that, you do it. Why?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
You need a guy – and you're talking about Dame or Beal. They put up the same number as all three of those dudes combined on the offensive end. That's what you need. If you're not getting defense, I'm sacrificing the defense for offensive production. And then you need to get a wing. You need to get somebody who can guard on the wing because we do not have good wing defenders. It is what it is. But at this time, we have to thank our sponsors. We, again, are sponsored by La Touraine Watches. Visit them at la-touraine.com. Use the promo code DOB. And Don, talk about your sponsor. Well, the sponsor that you got for us.
So listen, we did, we announced it last week. We did bring on another sponsor, and where you're going to find their information is Team Clicks. So the teamclicks.com/DOB. Anything, use that link, and that will send you directly to the store where we'll get, the kickback and sponsorship. They have really cool sports themed eyewear and accessories. And the coolest part about it is that the pieces are interchangeable. So you buy one set of sunglasses, but you can get the interchangeable side pieces. So, during Eagle season, you pop on
that's cool.
The green and black ones. If you're going down to a Flyers game, you pop the green ones off, you pop the orange and black ones on. So that part, that interchangeable piece is something that is a really cool new kind of way to, listen, just another way for you to be able to connect with your favorite team.
I love it, Don. Now take us into our final thoughts.
We've talked about mental health in a variety of ways. Talk to your people. You've got there's a laundry list of mental health things that are going on right now to bring awareness to what is becoming a growing need for everybody. I see it in school with some of my kids that are struggling, giving them a voice to be able to kind of, talk about whatever's going on. But I think, what kind of brought this on was the stuff that I was seeing today, with today being the anniversary of Sandy Hook, and knowing where I was when I found out, and remember, kind of your head kind of goes back to right to when you found out about those that event. Talk to your people, connect with your people, whatever your circle is, whether it's your family, your friends, your coworkers, whatever it is. But really, check in on your people, call somebody, check in, just to, send them a text, whatever it is. But really, you can't take care of everything else in your life if the mental piece is not there. So take care of your mental health.
I like it, Don. I agree.
Yep.
Mental health it's huge, and it impacts all of us. As much as we hate to admit it, it does. My final thoughts. Sometimes you just got to sit back and listen, and not talk. Like you said, ask people how they're doing. Don't be the one who asks, like, oh, yeah, let me give you the advice. Sometimes you need to shut up and listen. I find it's hard for me to do because, obviously, I like to hear myself talk. But when you get the opportunity to hear somebody who's having a bad day, or someone, like you said, just reach out and they need to talk, listen. Be the ears for somebody. Be the outlet.
Right.
Be the person that they can confide in. Because people need that. Sometimes people need to talk.
Yeah.
It's important for us men, for women, for children, to talk about their feelings and how they're feeling, especially around the holidays. Not everybody likes Christmas. Many different reasons.
Yeah.
Don't cast judgment. Don't be like, oh, you don't like Christmas. Why don't you like Christmas? Some people just, don't like it. My grandfather died Christmas morning. So Christmas was hard, know? And he was like, this was when I was like 17, 18. So this was tough.
Right in the prime, yeah.
We were just getting drunk and being sad. Like, it wasn't good times. Friends knew it. I would always go stay with my buddy and his family and watch his little sisters open gifts on Christmas. It's a big thing for me because it was the joy that it brought. Now they have a son. It's fun. I'm into it.
Yeah,
Christmas trees behind me. I sit down here. I try to come down here every night and sit and just look at the tree. Why? 'Cause it brings me hope. There's always the thing about Christmas where it's like it's about hope, right? For bringing in a new year.
Yeah, it's that optimism. Yeah,
that it gives you. So I like sitting down here. I watched the game on my phone last night down here in the basement and was just staring at the tree. Didn't even have the big TV on. I have a big TV on down here. I just didn't even have it on. So I just wanted to be.
Yep.
But just remember that not everybody is in the same situation as you. Not a lot of people have a lot to be thankful for. And what they are thankful for might not mean that much to you as it does to them. Just listen. Be considerate. Be kind. It's hard in today's world to be kind. I'm not on Twitter that much anymore. I don't tweet a lot from our account. I don't tweet a lot from my account. It's not a kind place. There's not much kindness going on. It's a lot of stupid stuff, a lot of BS, a lot of things I don't want to involve myself in. My life has been way better without it. It's a lot better when you can just cut out the BS and I don't have to fake a persona or fake friendships with people when I don't agree with anything that they say. It kind of is that monkey off your back.
Oh, yeah.
So if you can't spread kindness and hope and lend a listening ear and be helpful and be a friend to somebody, you should reevaluate, because everybody needs that. Everybody needs hope and to feel good. Don't cast judgment. Just listen. Just listen. Philly, it's been real. You will catch this on Apple, everywhere podcasts will be found. Again, thank you to our sponsors, Touraine. Thank you, Team Clicks. Thank you, whoever's going to give us some beer, because that would be awesome eventually.
Yeah. Any potential beer sponsors out there? If you're interested in advertising on our show, it's not going to cost you much.
I promise you, it could be one beer a week, and it could be warm. I'll be grateful. Don.
All right.
We're out.
Peace out.
Be good people.